Hi, everybody. Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days and 5 minutes. And tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, we will talk about what happened yesterday and overnight into this morning with heavy rain and flash flooding. We still have some of it going on in New England and in upstate New York, but drier conditions are set to arrive over the next 2 days. And we'll take a look at the long range because we probably have more chances for thunderstorms down the road. That's all tonight at 7:35 p.m. on my YouTube channel. And as we said, still dealing with some watches and warnings up, flash flood watches and flash flood warnings throughout upstate New York, particularly in Vermont. Just about the whole state is under a flash flood warning at this point as of 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We have flood watches also up in New Hampshire and into western Maine. They continue in northern Connecticut and in western and central Massachusetts. But again, we are going to start to see some improvement here. Otherwise, as we look around the country, not a whole lot going on here with some flood watches up for parts of Oklahoma, heat advisories across Texas and South Florida, extreme heat in parts of the Southwest, particularly in southern Nevada and into southern California and parts of Arizona. And this is where most of the really super hot weather is going to be confined in the coming days. So we've got low pressure and this trailing cold front. Weather systems have just been crawling from west to east, and you can thank the rather blocky upper air pattern that we've been in for a while, and it really shows no signs of breaking down anytime soon. So we'll watch this low move to the northeast slowly for the rest of the day and into tonight, and that should take the rest of the rain out with it. We have seen genuine improvement, though, across Pennsylvania and New Jersey. There's drier air coming in from the west. We've got a lot of sunshine back through western Virginia, western North Carolina, the Ohio Valley doing well, even parts of the deep south. You have to go right down to near the Gulf Coast to find any shower and thunderstorm activity going on today. Beautiful weather mostly around the Great Lakes and also in the plains, and not a whole lot in the way of smoke, which is something we haven't been able to say in quite a while. Here's the close-up loop of the Northeast. Not seeing a lot of lightning strikes going on up in New England, but that doesn't take away from the fact that the moisture-laden air mass there is producing some heavy downpours. You see a few lightning strikes there near the shore of Lake Ontario. Just was a little concerned earlier today that we might see another downpour or thunderstorm pop up on the backside of this. So far, that has not been the case, and let's hope it won't be, because in those areas that got clobbered with anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of rain or more, there were some places that had nearly double-digit amounts. It wouldn't take much to bring another round of flooding. So if we can avoid getting any kind of shower and thunderstorm activity this afternoon and evening, that would be a good thing. You can see what's going on in upstate New York. As I said, just about the whole state of Vermont is under flash flood warnings. As of 2 p.m. Eastern Time, some heavy rains into New Hampshire, and also getting some heavy rains now in eastern Massachusetts down into southeastern New England. And that's showing us at least that this weather system is moving. Other showers and thunderstorms in the coastal Carolinas, coastal North Carolina just offshore, and in South Carolina actually extends fairly far inland. And in northern Florida and just off the Gulf Coast, we're seeing some showers and storms there, and also seeing some activity going on up in Montana, back into Washington State. Storm Prediction Center for today indicating a small area of marginal risk in central and southeastern New England. Some of that is playing out now in the areas in eastern Massachusetts, as we showed you on the radar. Marginal risk North Florida, the Gulf Coast, and then you've got this slight to enhanced risk area through the southern and central plains, and then turning northeast over into the western Great Lakes. We do have a small area of 2% tornado risk in southern Minnesota and across Wisconsin. For tomorrow, severe weather risk is in this sort of east-west arc from eastern Montana across the central plains, and then east from there into the lower Great Lakes states, marginal to slight risk and a small area of 2% tornado risk being indicated. It's going to be more about wind than anything else. And then Wednesday into Thursday, we bring a marginal risk for New England, central and northern New England, much of upstate New York, probably closer to I-90 and points northward from there. Northern Pennsylvania, back through parts of the Ohio and Valley and into the middle Mississippi Valley and parts of the Missouri River Valley Basin, where we could see some severe weather there. And on the rainfall forecast from WPC, now some of what you see in the Northeast here is going on right now. But I did notice that they have an inch and a half plus back down through New Jersey, the lower Hudson Valley where the rains are done, and also back through eastern Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, Long Island, south and west. So this is indicative of future weather systems that'll be moving along in the next week. The middle Mississippi Valley, an inch and a half to as much as 2.5 to 3 inches there, and also along the immediate Gulf Coast. So, it's been all about this trough that has set up from central Canada southward. And we talked about this last week a few times on the Joe and Joe Weather Show on how this upper low is just going to spin around and rotate because we have a ridge out in the Atlantic, and you're going to just sort of draw it in here, right in there, that's really not going anywhere. So this upper low just basically spins around and spins around, and we had one really solid shortwave trough that moved through that enhanced all that tropical air that we saw. Well, that's going to lift out, and the upper low is just going to still spin around in Hudson Bay this week. So eventually, it is going to probably shoot another area of energy eastward late this week. The other issue is with the upper low as far west as it is, unfortunately, it doesn't bring down the relatively low humidities that are surrounding that upper low and down into the Great Lakes states. It'd be nice if we could get some of that drier air to move eastward, but the upper low is just too far west for that to happen. So it's a wash, rinse, repeat pattern. If that's probably the best way to describe it. Certainly the weather reflected that going forward. We hopefully won't have another strong disturbance like this one was. Tomorrow and Wednesday, much of the east will be very warm to borderline hot, but not excessively hot. And it will be on the humid side, but the edge will be taken off a little bit in the northeast and mid-Atlantic states, both tomorrow and into Wednesday. And then we'll start to moisten up the atmosphere again on Thursday as we have a weather front that will be approaching, maybe some scattered showers and thunderstorms late in the day, Thursday into Thursday evening. You see how the GFS kind of brings them through there Thursday night. The front's going to get hung up a little bit, and then we wait for maybe another stronger disturbance that might come along at some point over the weekend. But hopefully, again, as long as we don't get something that dives down south to the south and then swings around to the northeast like this one did, it won't be another huge rain producer. But you got the pattern that is favorable for this sort of stuff to happen. So sometimes if it happens once, there's a tendency maybe show up again in the coming weeks. So we'll discuss this all, of course, on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, and that is tonight at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. So mark it down, and we'll see you then.